You're about to enjoy a Cloudcast original. Local stories, local storytellers, local brands.
Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the CEO Leading In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of CEO. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in. Today we are with Isabella Knack, the owner of Dallmann Chocolates. Hello, Bella. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm so excited to hear all about what's going on with Dallmann Chocolates and hear about how you got into all of this, because I know it's a really cool story. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what your day looks like? And I know it often can be different, especially around the holidays and Valentine's Day, which just passed. But tell us a little bit about what happens at Dallmann Chocolates.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't really have a routine that starts with A and goes down to Z. I mean, every day is different. But I mean, generally speaking, I am jam-packed most of the time. I have three little kids at home, so they, in and on its own, are a full-time job. I bring them to school, I get to work, and then I basically distribute the workload that we have going on to all the different departments. And, step in wherever I'm needed. And if I'm not needed anywhere, I just head over to my desk and I'm piled with a million emails and go through all of it while I'm taking phone calls and run for ingredients when we run out of those. I mean, every day is an adventure.
Yes, I bet it is. And so tell us, how did you even get involved in opening your own chocolate place? How did that happen? From how you learned and what brought you into this? I mean, we all love chocolate, of course. Well, most people anyway, but I feel terrible for the folks that are allergic to chocolate. But chocolate is comfort, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, isn't it? Absolutely, it is. It's a piece of chocolate, a glass of wine equals heaven to me.
Yeah. So tell us, how did you start in all of this?
I mean, ironically, I grew up in a family of pastry chefs in Austria and always hated the family business. I really never enjoyed it because it's a generational business where my grandfather started it in the 1950s and my parents took it over. It's right in an area where Sound of Music is shot, so it's a very touristic area, and the village that I'm from is just booming in the summertime, and we have a lot of tourism in the region where I'm from. So as a very little kid already, I always had to work in the family business, whether I wanted to or not. And, I developed a very big dislike because while my friends would go swim in the lake or ski in the mountains, me and my mom, we would serve tourists coffee and cake, and my brother and my dad would make the pastries and the chocolates in the kitchen. So there's two of us, my brother and me, and I was always a little better in school than he was. So my parents kind of supported my academic route, and they said, you go to college, you can do whatever you want, and your brother's going to become a pastry chef and take over the family business later on. And that's kind of what happened. I went to college, didn't really, get the PhD that they wanted, but I studied hotel and restaurant management. And as a result of that education, it opened up the doors to the world for me. And, I landed in San Diego because I got a job here. And I was supposed to be here for 18 months, do a management training program in a hotel downtown called the Westgate. And then I was supposed to go, wherever else the world would bring you. But in these 18 months that I was here, I got promoted to manage their little gourmet store. They have like a little, deli on the side. and they used to carry European products. And it was really very ironic because I was working. It was a sheer coincidence. The phone rang, and mainly Mozart, which is a local nonprofit organization, was on the other line requesting if we, this gourmet store would sell Mozart Kugels, which is a huge product in Austria where I'm from, because the composer Mozart was born and raised in Austria, and we have this very specific chocolate named after him that's very mass manufactured over there. And since I am from Austria, I knew exactly what they were talking about. And I said, my parents happen to make those chocolates. Are you interested? And this is really how Dallmann in America began from me, because it was like a light bulb that went off. It was 2004. Mozart's 250th birthday was celebrated the following year. And this is really why they called the gourmet store, because they wanted to see if they could buy those chocolates, or if we carried them in the gourmet store for the upcoming events that they had the following year. And I thought, oh my gosh, what a great opportunity, because my parents make those. How about I just, they sent me some chocolates, and then I sell them to mainly Mozart. And the idea then went further, where I thought, what, how about, there couldn't possibly be another Austrian in the US making these chocolates. How about I just learn how to make them myself? And at this point, I had never made a cake before. Needless to say, chocolate, I had no clue how to make any of these products. So I flew home. My dad gave me a crash course in chocolate making for 2 weeks. And I have to tell you, the minute, I always felt so cursed as a kid to grow up in a pastry shop, which in and on its own sounds crazy, because who doesn't, like most children would be in heaven. I never really enjoyed it. But when I stepped foot into my father's kitchen voluntarily, wanting to learn and wanting to experience, I just fell in love with chocolate immediately. I loved, because I had never looked at it that way. I've tasted it, but I never saw it as an element of like getting involved and putting flavoring inside of it and being able to create art with it. It was just love at first sight for me. I remember the moment specifically where I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. I want to explore more. And so this is what I did. My father gave me a little bit of a crash course, and then I flew back here and learned where to find the ingredients and the tools that you needed, and just made my way step by step forward and learned how to make chocolates. And now we are 14 years later.
Wow. And you don't currently have a storefront, correct?
No, not anymore. So we used to have a storefront downtown at the headquarters, but with the pandemic, we had no choice but to close it.
Right. Well, your chocolate is amazing, and you did a little bit of a pivot this year. You started the chocolate bombs craze, and tell me how that's been going.
I mean, it's not just the bombs is just a product, but we had to completely pivot from the business model that we had created. We were targeting wholesale accounts, specifically hotels and restaurants. And we had our retail store that was really our stream of revenue, wholesale and retail. And with the pandemic, when everything shut down in March, we just lost 100% of our income. And how do you recuperate that within weeks or months? We live off this. We have 3 little kids. What are you going to do? So I applied for all these loans, PPP loan and the disaster loan, got approved for it. And I just made a shot in the dark and decided to pivot and invest 100% of that money into e-commerce. So we invested heavily in search engine optimization. We created a new website. And then we focused on creating new products that we might maybe be a step ahead of the game. We did some research online with keywords that people are looking for. And one of those things was, cocoa bombs. So I thought, well, this could be an interesting product, because it, like the target group for that is so wide. Kids enjoy it. You and I enjoy it, right. And then elderly enjoy it. So it's wide, women and men, boys and girls. And so we created the cocoa bomb, and we launched it. And the first 10 days that this item was online, we sold over 2,000 of these bombs, and it was just completely overwhelming, because don't forget, we hand make all of the product, right? We hand pour it into the molds. Then we put the marshmallows in. You have to stick those two half spheres together. Then you have to wrap it with foil. Then you have to package all of this product, and then you have to ship it. So it was overwhelming is an understatement.
Yeah, I guess, but I have to tell you, they are amazing. Definitely love them. Really excited about that. But so back to you as the non owner of Dallmann Chocolates. What is one word, or it actually could have to do with your business? What is one word that you think describes you the best as a person?
So I am not an English. I obviously speak English, right? But English is not my first language. I was actually trying to figure out what the word is because I'm definitely a person that when I want something, I will work as long and as hard as I need to until I get it. And I know there's a word out there, but I don't know what
Tenacious.
it is.
It's
Maybe
tenacious.
tenacious. Maybe that's what that is. Yeah. So
Absolutely. You're tenacious. I would definitely say that describes you. Definitely.
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
own it. You're tenacious. Bella, you're
Tenacious. I love
tenacious.
the word. I just learned a new word. Thank
There
you.
you go, of course. So, all of this time that you've been, creating these wonderful sensations, and I mean, the salted caramel, oh my gosh, I love them. They're amazing. But how do you measure success? And have you ever created something where you just go, oh my gosh, that was such a fail? Tell us about that. Share with our listeners today something that, you've said, oh, this is what is success to me, but then I have failed at this, if you don't
I
mind.
mean, it's kind of weird because success to me, I'm a little weird like that because once I reach a success, I don't necessarily feel satisfied. I'm already on to the next. And I almost want to say this is something that I'm failing a little bit because I am never really in the moment of being able to sit back and be like, wow, because I'm already like longing for the next step and I'm already in the middle of it. But so I don't necessarily measure success by achieving something. My success, I measure success more by being able to provide a safe and fun workplace for my employees and being able to put food on the table for my family and having a roof over their head. And when I tuck my kids in at night and they have a big smile on their face, this is really when I feel successful. I hope that makes sense what I'm saying. This is when
Absolutely. Yeah,
this is where I can reflect the most and feel the proudest.
right. Well, that brings me to balancing. You've got 3 kids at home. What do they think about mom making chocolate? And then
Oh,
how do you really balance all of those things?
I mean, that's an ongoing like struggle. It's really hard to balance work and personal life, especially my husband works in the business too, and especially when it gets busy, we are seasonal business, so throughout the holidays like Christmas, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Easter, it's definitely challenging to to balance it because the stress level is just over the top.
Right.
Throughout the year, in the summertime, it becomes a whole lot easier because I have more time and I can really be there for my children. But I recently, it really all the way up to, I want to say last month, I really didn't do anything to balance my work life. I just tried to do my best in whatever I do. And, sometimes you fail, sometimes you succeed. But the busier that I get and the bigger this company becomes, it really takes away from your quality of life because you are just completely stressed out all the time and you think about work all the time. So I started to meditate and I started to go to the gym. I mean, this is something that most people do, but I've been really lazy, all the way until now. So meditation is something that I never really thought was for me, but I'm actually enjoying it. And I'm enjoying, like if I have 5 minutes to myself and just can be in the moment with just myself, that is really all that I need to find a little bit of balance.
Well, and it is hard because you've got these. What are the ages of your kids? I don't recall.
4, and then the next one is 6, and then the next one is 8.
Yeah, so they do need you. They need someone, right, to take them from here to there and all over. And then do you ever bring them to work with you?
I mean, yeah, especially the past couple of years, I mean,
Yeah.
their schools are constantly like open or closed. And then so we did too with the pandemic was we created a completely new department for virtual chocolate tastings. And has become really popular and big. Like this is a full-time job for my husband now. He's running that show. And he does it from home, from his computer. It's Zoom calls, but he can't have any screaming kids around.
Well, tell
So
me
when the
what that
schools
looks like. What does that look like? A virtual chocolate tasting. I love it.
Oh my, so I mean, I have to tell you the story when,
Yeah.
before we shifted, like I said, we were wholesale and we really, the online orders that we would get were just organic orders that, people knew about us, right? We didn't put any effort into marketing at all. And so, the website sales were very, very limited. There was not a whole lot coming in. And so a friend of mine who owns a search engine optimization business, she suggested, this is what you should do is invest in search engine optimization. So when people Google you or chocolate or whatever, they find you. And I said, okay, let's try it. So, she did really heavy search engine optimization so we created a new page, something called virtual chocolate tastings, where people, companies, because what we saw coming or what I saw coming in the wintertime for the holiday season, people weren't able to meet, in person. And I saw coming that they would schedule online events. And for those events, they want some entertainment. And what's better than, tasting chocolates together and learning about the bean to bar process and how to taste chocolate and how do we make it and that kind of stuff. So we created chocolate kits, sampling kits, and people can, they were able to email us and say, okay, my company is interested in doing one of these tastings with you. And then my husband would email them back how the logistics work, and then set up a Zoom meeting like you and I have right now. We would send out the tasting kits, and then they all would meet and discuss and eat chocolates together. And so, the summertime was very quiet. And then October came, and all of a sudden the website started, getting some sales, and November even more. And then in December, it was mind blowing. My email was just going, ding, ding, every 5 minutes, another email came in. And these were companies like Facebook, Google, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Deloitte, Kuehne and Nagel. I mean, the Facebook, you name it, big companies reached out. And I said to Jason, you either take this department over, the virtual chocolate tastings, or I'm going to have to ignore all of them because I have also so many online orders coming in. And at this point, I only had one employee, there was me and somebody else. And so he did, and now he has a full-time job with that. And, people are still booking virtual chocolate tastings more than ever. And we are having a lot of fun with it. We've started shipping international. I mean, it's been a really, really big learning curve for us. And it's been so much fun to figure all these things out.
I think you can even grow that more if you start having there's a lot of space, I think, growing with the beer and chocolate and then the wine and chocolate, starting a whole new thing. I think he could have a full-time job doing this for a very long time. I mean, there really is a lot of like I said, a lot of space, but a lot of people really, really like to have a little bit of beer. And, we're North County and San Diego County, where you're located, it's the Hops Highway right there on the 78. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of space for that. Really excited to see what you can do in that. But kind of talking a little bit about, role models and all of that. Do you have people besides your parents, and the pastry is a really interesting sort of, connection because of course, we all love sweet things. Sweet things are those, I think they're something that our body truly does crave because it really brings those endorphins and they make us feel good. And, they're so delicious and we all just love to feel good, right? And, when we're staying at home and we're dealing with pandemics and that sort of thing, I think it really has become something that we're being more intentional about. But tell me, as far as mentors, are there any mentors that you have outside of your family? Like maybe someone that's specifically in the chocolate business or no?
No, I mean, I don't have anybody specifically in the chocolate business, but I do have my husband's aunt. She lives in Santa Cruz, and she was, I think, if one of, if not the first one, but one of the first one to introduce gluten-free muffins to the Santa Cruz area. But that was a while ago. So she built a business up, with nothing to a multi-million-dollar business when she was younger, and she is since retired, but she knows what it takes to grow a business, and the fears and the struggles and the tears and the sweat and the blood that goes into it. So every time that I need advice, she's always there with an open heart and an open mind, and she's definitely my rock.
Oh, yeah, and a trailblazer, because when you think gluten-free, you think, "Oh, that's not delicious," and it has changed so much.
Yeah.
I'm actually blown away these days when I try something that's gluten-free. Like, I'll have friends say, "Oh gosh, I found this amazing gluten-free thing. You've got to try it." And then I try it and I go, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's gluten-free." There's been a
Yeah,
lot of
right.
change in that. And I think in chocolate too, it used to just be milk chocolate, dark chocolate, and dark chocolate, I think traditionally wasn't that delicious. I felt like sometimes it was a little bitter, but that has changed so much. So tell me, if you've had some great experience in different ways and things that you've actually brought to the market that have kind of evolved and changed from when you first started.
Definitely. I mean, we get now that we are so spread out online and we are reaching, a bigger market, we get a lot of requests, and I always listen to my audience. But one of the biggest requests that I have gotten was vegan chocolates. Do you do anything dairy free vegan? And at the beginning, I was like, I don't really know how, like how to do this, because I'm known for putting like crazy flavors together and making it look pretty. And so when it came to vegan, that sounded just like you said, I'm not familiar with vegan product either, but you immediately put on there like a label, like bland, right?
Right.
Boring,
Yeah.
So I started playing around with it, and we came up with a vegan collection that is we the feedback that we're getting, and again, once you start doing your research and investigating on what you can do with it, it's just so fun, because we have now created a product for people, and and the vegan product is out there, but getting chocolates that look beautiful and that have different flavor combinations in the vegan world is still difficult to get. So the vegan audience that we have, they're just so thrilled that they can have a product that's equally as beautiful as it is delicious as our regular truffle collections, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the next thing that we're about to launch, the next request that we get a lot is sugar free. So on the 20th, we are actually launching a sugar free collection, which is also very interesting.
Yeah, how do you have sugar-free chocolate? Now that definitely takes some skill, definitely. So what is your favorite? What is your signature chocolate that you have?
Like you mentioned at the beginning, the sea salt caramel is by far our best seller. People love the chocolate because the caramel that we make, we tend to heat it up very high, so it like it's borderline burning,
Yeah.
and it might sound a little weird, but it introduces like that bitter flavor to it and the sweetness of the sugar, but then the salt. On the other hand, it balances all these flavor combinations out so nicely. And then we put a little crystal salt on top, so you have some texture to it, and it's just like a well balanced and fun chocolate to eat, because you have the element of texture to it too.
Well, I also think your peanut butter and jelly is very interesting.
This I made that for the American market. My husband was the one that said you should have a peanut butter and jelly chocolate. And this is for me, peanut butter. I didn't grow up on peanut butter and jelly, so to me it's like, oh, this is very American. We should do it. And he was absolutely right. It's one of the best sellers too.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. So when you think about some of the lessons that you've learned, what are some things that you'd like to share with young women, and how they can apply those in their lives?
One of the things that I might have lost along the way, but when I started out this business, I was fearless. And it's not that I was fierce. I really I had no idea of any consequences that would come out of any of the decisions that I was making, whether it was good or bad. In my case, I feel like, when I look back now, because when I started my business, I really had no idea about business or how to make chocolates. And one of the first things that I ever did to learn chocolates was I took a chocolate class with professional pastry chefs. And I'm talking about, like the executive pastry chef from the MGM Grand and the Venetian and Ritz Carlton, like really, really good places. And when I took this class, I had no idea, what to expect. And needless to say, I had also never worked in a kitchen before. I mean, I've seen my parents, right? But I didn't have a professional chef's coat. So I rolled into this class with a tank top and flip flops on, and I didn't know any better. I didn't know how professional people were. And I took a class, and it was just the most mortifying and embarrassing thing that I've ever done because I didn't even know when an egg white was stiff. But in that moment when I took that class, I thought, what is there to lose? I can only gain I don't know anything. I can only gain information and win as a result. And I wish that I still had this approach today, because back then, I was a little bit younger, more naive, but I really was like, whatever, I can only learn. So what I'm trying to say with this message is, don't let fear get in the way. Just learn as much as you can. Surround yourself with people that are better than you, and just jump into cold water.
Jump into cold water. I love that. That's quite a visual, but yeah, it's true. In every single career, there are things that, trying them can be so intimidating because you're not good at it yet. You're just starting out. And, there are a lot of things I always tell when I speak to young people, I always say, try things that are out of your comfort zone because you're only going to grow from them. All
Exactly.
those experiences. And when you said, surround yourself with good people that are doing things that are more than you kind of imagine, it does. It helps you grow and it helps you learn new things. And each day, I always tell people, I'm going to learn things until the day that I die. I want to be a student forever because all I'm going to do is continue to get better in really everything, because it's not all about just, your career or whatever, but, you gain knowledge. Knowledge is powerful, very, very powerful. So
I absolutely agree.
So you walk into a room and you've got all these young women. What would be the advice that you would give them? A little nugget of, this is the advice. This is what I want you to know about what you can do for yourselves.
That's actually a good question. What would I say to a bunch of young women? It's kind of funny because yesterday, I'm just trying to find, I picked up my children from elementary school, and they have these cute little posters that they make hanging throughout the school, and all of them have some wise sayings on it. And the one that stood out for me was, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And that really spoke to me. And I took a picture of it. And I think this is such a great saying, because it doesn't matter if you are good at something what matters, or if you do it right from the get-go, right? What matters is that you try. And it's okay if you don't know how to do it. Just try to do something. Does that make sense?
Well, for sure. It's like that old saying, you're not going to dance if you don't ask. If you don't try things, for sure that you're going to stay where you are today.
Exactly.
If you don't,
that really spoke to me.
Yeah, that is awesome. And again, back to the whole conversation about learning something new every day, even from kids. And I really love that too, because it's not just from people that are older than us or maybe equal to us in age. I think we can learn something from every segment of the population because they think differently. People that think differently from us bring a lot to the table, because even if you don't think exactly like them, you're going to take something away from the conversation or what they're doing. I think there's always something to take away from that. in
Yeah.
itself. So, what's next on your journey? Where are you going next? What are you coming out with? And besides the
Oh
sugar-free,
my
because
gosh.
I think that is very cool.
Well, there's a couple of things, nothing really in the works yet, but decisions that are coming up with, our lease is up in our kitchen. And I think that I've spoken to you before about that. And
Yeah.
we just, we have outgrown the space that we're in. And so, I'm starting the process of looking to move the kitchen to something bigger and something better. And with that, like, there's new opportunities where we potentially might have another retail store with it again and that kind of stuff. So, um, this is one of the things that I'm starting on working on right now. And the
Yeah.
other thing was that we, were in the works before the holiday season. I started to look into expanding to our product into Europe because we get so many requests again for the corporate chocolate tastings. The people are international, and I am from Austria, so I have a support group over there. I speak the language, so the goal is for us to expand our product, to expand into the German and English speaking countries in Europe for now this year. And then potentially, if this is something that works out with the logistics that we have planned, potentially even global. So we'll see how that works. I mean, this is still all in the works. The Europe thing is something that really I'd like to see happen because it opens up doors for us as a family too. It could give us the potential to maybe move there and raise our children closer to their grandparents. My brother is about to have a baby, so I would be really excited about the expansion and the opportunity and possibility with this.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. So one last question, and that is, are you going to bring back the chocolate making experiences?
For the time being, I'm gonna say no, just
Yeah.
because my plate is too full. I have so much on my plate right now, I want to focus on the things that are working already, and fine tune them a little bit, and then maybe and then whatever is not working, get rid. I want to clean up first before I start a new project.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, I thank you so much, Bella. It's been such a pleasure hearing about it. I find it fascinating. I know that our listeners are going to be encouraged thinking, you know what, I can actually move from my kitchen into something different
Yeah.
and enjoy doing it. And I love how passionate you are about chocolate.
Oh.
I know a lot of us are, but taking the space of using chocolate as this artistic thing, because unless our listeners go to your website, they have no idea how beautiful your chocolates are. I mean, they really are beautiful and artistic and very colorful, and you make the sleeves and the boxes, and I just really love them. They really are beautiful. And
Oh.
even your little chocolate bombs and the different color of foils and all of that, I think you've really done a great job. So thank you so much
Well,
for
thank you.
joining us. Yeah, thank you. And
Well,
great talking to you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate that you chose me. I feel very honored. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learn how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with CEO host Rebecca Jones.
You have been listening to a Cloudcast original. Local stories, local storytellers, local brands. Find more stories at cloudcast.us.